Hi, everyone. So let me just take a sip of this. Mm, I'm excited to be here. Um, I did just post about this a few minutes ago, and the truth of the matter is that the energy is high. It happens to be energy that I resonate really strongly with. So I'm excited about it. Um, But just for those that didn't see my posts, that haven't been paying attention, that don't get my emails, because I've been sending a lot of emails this month, more than I normally do, because again, I've been excited about it. It's kind of like my jam. So this whole month, the moon, now not only do we have new moon with a solar eclipse, the eclipses have been aligned with this. That's today, and then tomorrow is fall equinox, which is also about the cycle ending and changing and finding balance. And all of these things are really lined up to be in this space of completion, of honoring and recognizing, acknowledging, embracing, celebrating to a certain degree the cycles that we go through in life, the phases, the evolution. The spirit is starting to come in now, which is why maybe if you're I feel like my patterning of my speech changes when they start to come in. Um, but they're saying they're the ones kind of giving all these repeating words. They're saying it's cycles, it's phases, it's new levels of evolution. Some people might resonate with that language, and it's interesting because they're saying to me to start with the fact that I do sometimes, if you'll see when I start to do messages, or sometimes in my writing, because oftentimes when I write too, there's a certain amount of channeling that happens there. It's a lot of times not as much about planned things that I want to say, and more about like kind of whatever comes up and flows out. Um, but I can see now as they're talking to me that there's this pattern that I have that goes into this space of where I start throwing extra words and like choosing a different word, choosing a different word, choosing a different word. And it's because they give me these additional words, and what they, for whatever reason, what they're bringing through right now is about that language is something that we as humans are reliant on, have been reliant on. They're saying what they're hoping with the, what I keep calling personally is evolution. They don't really have that word. And honestly, they're not really giving me a word for what they call it. Um, it's a vibrational upgrade, it's a consciousness upgrade. What they're saying is that as the planet, as humans here are um evolving, because that's my word, that they're hoping that we become less dependent on the words that we choose. And I'm having this conversation. If you've watched me, I've talked about this before. If you've had a reading with me or done a group party with me, you'll know that I say, like, a lot of times as I'm bringing through the message, the information that they want, I'm also simultaneously in my head having a conversation and asking them sort of clarifying and probing questions. So what I was saying to them was, you know, we talk so much. I personally put out there all the time, and I've always personally put a lot of belief into words and the words that people choose. I mean, I'm a certified NLP practitioner. Looking for the words that we're using, Louise Hay, even Abraham Hicks, not as much, but certainly like Louise Hay and All of them have really always put a ton of effort into being mindful of the words that we use, because the words that we use are creating our reality. The words that we bring through are nothing but an interpretation of our thoughts, and our repeated thoughts are what become our beliefs. And when we hold belief about something, then that is where all energetic patterning comes from that point. And wherever the energetic patterning comes from is what we create and experience in our physical world. They're just having me kind of lay all that out for anybody that might tune in and watch this and needs to hear this and understand that. So I was asking them, well, you're saying now that you would like to see us move away from words as we kind of evolve, as we move into a level of higher consciousness, you know. And here we've been taught all this time to be mindful of our words and to use our words and understand that there's power in our words, and that and they're saying to me just now as I'm speaking, they're kind of interrupting me, and they're saying your words are indicative of where your beliefs are. And so they want us to start paying attention to the words that are coming out of our mouth, not as necessarily, mm, not necessarily, I'm going to just finish what they just said and then I'll go into the next part. Not necessarily, um, I messed myself all up on that. Sorry. Let's go to where they were going with this. So what they said was that we've kind of been taught to be mindful of our words, change our words, have awareness around the words that we're choosing. And they're saying it's never been about kind of breaking the habit or making you think that you needed to fix your words, fix your language, fix the way you say things. They instead, what they can be sure about is that, in fact, that kind of teaching and that sort of perspective being repeated and passed on has actually only created a bigger gap, a, a bigger perception of separation between our divinity and our ability to create, in this idea of brokenness or fixed or what we need to work on. um we are not broken. You're never broken. I don't care what any shit out there tells you. You're not broken. You never have been. The things that we decided that we needed to heal from or fix is, again, really language which is creating a belief around the fact that we are separate, that we are not already whole and perfect. That part of us, and that being of us, that existence of us, and that version, if you will, of who we are in full wholeness, perfect, is already there. So there's never anything to fix. There's never really anything to heal. There is no part of you that is broken. And they said this fixation on, in kind of spiritual teachings or in the personal growth or metaphysical world, that has caused us to hyper focus on the words that we are choosing, has only further created this idea of separation from our whole and perfect self and our divine self, who we are fully and wholly, and the human version of us that is flawed and needs fixed and healed and all this other stuff. And so what they're saying is that as we move into a higher level of consciousness, as humanity is, whether we fucking like it or not, whether it looks like it or not, it's happening. And there's kind of those of us that can either get on the boat and go for the ride and be looking out at the sunset. This is what they're visually showing me. There's some people on the boat that are like looking out on the horizon and they're watching the sunset and it's beautiful and gorgeous and you have a sense of peace in you. Or there's literally ones that are like being drug along. It's so funny. They show me like some people holding on to the rope. And they thought they were gonna like water ski, but they got knocked down, and so the boat ain't stopping. The boats keeps moving, so now they're just being drug around. There's other poor people out there that have the rope wrapped around your ankle, and so you're on your back and your head keeps getting ducked under. Like the boat is leaving. The boat has left. We are out there in this journey. We are already out there um in this trip, in this process to get to a new destination, is what they're saying. Because I was partial of this was I was asking, like, why are you showing this as like a boat trip? And I'm like, I don't know, because people will relate. Um, they'll understand. But it's to be thought of as a destination, as an adventure, a journey. And it is going along, and you can either float along with it and get on the boat, or you can be drug along in the most uncomfortable or even potentially comfortable ways, because they're like showing me now even like people that are in the life raft that is tethered to the boat, and they're like they're in the boat, at least they're in a boat, so they're not struggling like the other poor people fully, but it's a rough ride for them, right? So there's all of these different ways, but everything is attached to this boat that is in this journey that is headed on its way, and it's going. So they're saying they're now referencing back to the beginning when they were saying to us about this idea of moving away from language. They're saying what they would like to see, those that are willing and can grasp this and want to, is to, instead of seeing language with awareness and thinking, oh, I need to fix that, I need to change that, there's something wrong, that this is what came up, but just to see it as a reflection of a belief. And so they're saying there's this need for being gentle with ourselves and just being like, oh yeah, this has come up, I said it like this, or I use this language, or I just described this way, or myself this way, they're saying. And to just allow the language to be an indicator of where your beliefs are kind of falling in that compass, if you will, to keep going on this boat trip and the idea of taking a journey and heading towards a destination. Allow it to be your words to kind of help you to navigate so you can decipher and see where your beliefs are. They're saying instead of attaching and identifying this idea that our beliefs need to be fixed, know that so much is shifted and is able to be changed just by bringing awareness. They're saying truth in awareness, not a false awareness, to where our beliefs really are, what they really are. They're saying that there's so many people that are not even honest with themselves, or somehow falsely interpreting what their beliefs even actually are, or they're withholding from themselves the real beliefs that are actually causing harm and separation for us. Um, they're saying it's quite a it's quite a muck. It's quite a um mess, for in that's my word, in my language. The the confusion and the convolution that we create, not even able to be honest with ourselves about what our beliefs are. And so they're also saying that for some people, obviously this is not intentional. you're trying to investigate what your beliefs are. You're trying to have awareness around what your beliefs are, and yet you can't you like can't get there, or you're not really being able to see the full truth or even the truth of what they are. And so again, because in my head I was asking them like, well, what do we do about this? Like, that's kind of a big fucking problem. And certainly I do the work that I do because I do believe that there's importance in knowing what our beliefs are and being able to shift them. And I think I talk about it, and it's certainly something that I struggle with and have struggled with as a part of my spiritual awakening, I guess. When I hit a certain threshold of spiritual awareness and consciousness, um it is the thing about, there are lots of things that I believe from a cognitive intellectual place that I know are true, and yet there's this thing in me that hasn't allowed it to be able to be locked in. It's somehow internally not always been able to like click into place for me, and it stays up here as like this cognitive knowing that this is a belief that is true, but somehow internally I've not been able to get it to a place where it operated. Now I will say, obviously, I mean, I think I've moved the needle on a whole lot of those things a lot, but it's still something that comes up for me that I even understand and know sometimes for myself, that there's still this thing where, like, I know I can create whatever I want. I know I can be whoever I want. I know that this alternate version of me exists that already has it. Like, right? Like, um and yet, clearly, if you're not fully experiencing that, then some part of you hasn't fully aligned or embodied to that belief. And so it stays up here in your head and then hasn't like clicked in. Spirit always shows it to me. They're not showing it to me right now. They're showing it to me now as like a lock, almost like, well, they do show it to me as a lock, but they used to show it to me, and I love this analogy, and I've used it for a long time, and I do feel compelled to share this version of it. Um, it's like tumblers in a door lock that you need a key for. So if you know anything about the way that mechanism works, there's tumblers in there, and the teeth on your keys hits certain tumblers, and they all must line up and get pressed back to the same spot so the lock will turn. And so for many many years, and with many people in different ways, when I've am in coaching sessions or in reading sessions with people, they would show me like that somebody is missing, like that some of the tumblers are there but they're not all there, and so the pins is what it's called, aren't lined up, so it doesn't allow the lock to fall, it doesn't allow it to click open. And so that's the analogy that they've used for a really long time with me, and I love it, and so I'm sharing it. And so that's where all this is coming from. They're saying that would the most important piece for people that are watching this to know is that there may actually, it's not even that you can't kind of get the belief from a cognitive place into like a heart soul gut place, but some of you are not actually even getting to the right belief that is sort of the issue, or that seems to be your hang up from being able to experience or get the relief they're saying that you want. um they're kind of going into they're veering off here, and they're saying what they'd like me to talk about before we close is that the energy around all of this right now should be, for many people, certainly for people that they're indicating that are tuned in to me or will have access to me, or find their way to me, is that more than anything, you're at a space where you're seeking relief. You're seeking relief from the pressures, what feels like just total dissonance in your life. That's their word, not mine. They're saying it feels fake, it feels fraud, but there's also like this heaviness to it where it just feels fucking exhausting, right? And so that the energies around the new moon, the eclipses, this fall equinox is all about how do I find relief? And the way that we find relief is to be able to recognize, they're saying, the old beliefs that need to be released. But also, they, like I said, they really, for those that feel called to it, that feel like maybe I'm not getting it, spend time, dig in around exploring what those beliefs are. And so again, if you know me, if you watch me, if you've worked with me, then you know that I'm all about the how. Love to get from spirit, like, how do we do that? How does this person do that? So what I really want to close with and leave with is I ask them how do you, if you may be or worried that you are, or you have a sense that you are not actually hitting the beliefs that are really the cause of the that problem that that is giving you this dissonance in life, that is giving you this misalignment from being who you know you can be, and yet that's not what you're experiencing. And I'm not talking you've been trying for a month, I'm talking you've been trying for a decade, right? There are people that are going to hear that and you're going to know I'm fucking talking to you, because that's, you're going to be like, yeah, a decade at least. Anyway, so when I asked, they said, particularly in this energy, again, new moon, solar eclipse, shine the light on shit, and fall equinox, the energies are prime for this right now. And so they're saying, sit down and just kind of do a journal exercise and ask yourself, what do I believe that is no longer serving me or that isn't serving me? What can I be honest about? I mean, find wording that suits you. What what can I be honest about? What am I aware of that is a negative or unhealthy or unhelpful belief that I am still holding on to, even in part? Okay. Because part of you, like I was just saying, may cognizantly know that that is not serving you anymore. But what part of you knows that you're still holding on to it? So start just making a list. Allow that to kind of be free flowing. Allow yourself to get into that space of just channeling, of pouring out, automatic writing, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Just whatever pops in your head, no matter how ridiculous it is, get it down on paper. All the beliefs that are, because I'm telling you, when you start writing them and you allow yourself space and freedom to just be honest with yourself, and you can step aside from the part of you that wants to judge or criticize or analyze, they're saying to me. Some of you are going to be like analyzing the list as you're trying to jot things down. They're saying, put all that aside, try and move out of your logical mental mind and allow it just to come forward, just whatever pops in your head, even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's never seem that does not seem relevant to me. I've never thought about that. I've never thought of that belief before. I don't even know where it would come from. Doesn't matter. Put it down, allow yourself to just go. They're saying it's absolutely going to start showing you some honest beliefs that you are not aware of or that you've not fully addressed, besides the ones that you obsess. They're saying there's ones that you obsess, and this is for me too, I'm not going to lie. There's ones that you obsess about needing to fix or get rid of or whatever. So it's beyond that. They want us to push beyond that. Allow it to pour out of you, allow it to get down on paper. And again, with this ritual, new moon, solar eclipse, which technically already happened, I believe, today. But whatever, it doesn't matter. The energy is still here. Usually the energy is here for 3 days. So before and after, at least, depending on, like I said, we got fall equinox in here, so it might even hold on longer, but this isn't exactly my area of expertise. So they're saying to me now that it'll last for the upcoming week as well. But so get it down on paper. I said this, and again, this is just if rituals feel fun to you, which they feel fun to me, but it's all about belief, even though we're talking about beliefs. So if you believe that you need to fold the paper a certain way and do a certain thing with it, awesome. Do that. Because, like I said, it's fun to me. I think it's great fun. But so, what you want to do is fold it 3 times and you want to fold it away from your body when you're done with this list, when you're done getting it all out, right? I'm a burner. Of course I am. I'm Aries. I'm fire all over the damn place. So, I want to light that shit on fire. Maybe that feels good to you. I do have to say this, but yeah, definitely make sure you do it somewhere safe, somewhere that's fire resisting, somewhere where you're away from other things that are going to catch on fire. Okay. So if you're going to burn it, do that safely, please. You can, I wouldn't recommend flushing it. Unless you're gonna rip it up into really tiny little pieces, because you don't want to clog your toilet. That would totally suck. You can throw it away. I'm not a big believer of burying things because then it still stays there. Um, in what spirit has shown me, and this is not my realm of expertise. So there's plenty of people that do paganism, Wiccan, whatever, that maybe know more about different ritual things. But what spirit always says to me is when I bury something, it's not going away. Now you've like planted it, right? So this is not, that's not really something you want to do for things you want to get rid of, and we want to move them away from us. So whatever that means for you, like I said, burn it, flush it, send it down the river, throw it away, preferably somewhere not in your home. Take it out of your home to throw it away. Um, that's my advice. That's where they have left us. I've gone a little bit long. I apologize for that. Hopefully, you don't mind. Hopefully, you're still with me. I love doing these. I'm always here for you. I love doing short videos too. So please reach out to me. Ask the questions. Ask for clarity around things. I love sharing what I know. I love sharing what Spirit wants to give me, that they want us to know. And as always, please like, comment, share with anybody that you think will find this interesting or that will help them. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you get notified when I have new videos. I do lots of little shorts and all kinds of things. So, all right, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. I hope you find ways to enjoy all of this reset, clearing, relief energy that is here for us. And as always, have a great night.